Welcome to Excellent Second, and today we'll learn acids, bases, or alkali and salt. Okay, so we need to learn acid, bases, and salt. Base mean alkali, so we'll learn about acids. What is acid? So there are two types of acids known as organic and the one is mineral. According to the definition, mineral acids are generally much stronger. Most do not occur naturally but are man-made for laboratory and industrial uses. They usually have simpler molecules than do organic acids, and their chemical formula are shown in table 2. The chemical formula of minerals are we can write down. Okay, so you need to memorize the mineral chemical formula. So these are the sulfuric acid, okay, and nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, carbonic acid, sulfurous acid, phosphoric acid. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 main important chemical formula of mineral. These are the acids. Now one question comes that how can you represent that these are all the acids? Sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, how can you represent that these are the acids? Because remember, for an acid, presence of hydropositive ion. Now you can represent that in each acid, hydrogen molecule is present. This hydrogen ion shows you that this is an acid. These all are acids. Understand? Although there is a wide variety of acids, they have certain general properties. Okay, what are the properties of acids? Here you need to memorize some properties of acids. What are the properties of acids? Okay, so you need to learn that what are the properties of acid. Firstly, okay, it turns litmus paper from blue to red as in the periodic table, you can see that the alkaline, the litmus paper is turning the blue to red. Conversion from alkali to acid. This is the function of or the property of alkali. Acids are electrolytes because in solution they are ionic and therefore conduct electricity. As in our previous video, we have learned that the ionic compounds conduct electricity. Acid actually conducts electricity. Okay. Most dilute acids except nitric acid react with many metals except copper, silver, gold to form salt and hydrogen gas. This we can take as simple. Like for example, we can take an example of magnesium. Magnesium reacts with sulfuric acid to form magnesium sulfate while giving the hydrogen gas. Okay, so when magnesium will react with sulfuric acid, it will give magnesium sulfate with hydrogen gas. Further explained, acid react with metal oxide to form a salt and water. For example, if copper oxide reacts with two moles of nitric acid. When copper oxide reacts with 2 moles of nitric acid, it will give us copper nitrate with water. This is known as water, hydrogen gas. So whenever acid reacts with metal oxide, it will give salt and water. This is known as salt and will give us water. When acid will react with metal oxides, whenever acid will react with metal and with oxide, it is a metal with oxide, so it will give us salt and water. And whenever acid reacts with a metal, it will give us a salt and a hydrogen gas. Okay, so these are the properties of acid, that whenever acid react with a metal, it will give you simple a salt and hydrogen gas, and whenever acid react with the metal oxide, it will give you salt and water. Okay, acid react with metal hydroxide to form again a salt and water. Like we can take an example of whenever sodium hydroxide will react with sodium hydroxide react with hydrochloride, it will give you NaCl, which is commonly known as salt again, and a water. Okay, so this is known as metal. This is known as metal oxide. This is known as metal hydroxide. So you need to understand that whenever acid react with metal oxide, metal hydroxide, so in this case of metal, it will give you a salt and hydrogen gas, and whenever it react with metal oxide, it will give you a salt and water, and whenever it react with metal hydroxide, it will give you the same water and salt. So I hope so that these properties are similar to you about acids. In the definition, it's written about base properties and reactions. Compounds which react with acid to form a salt and water only are called bases. A proper definition is stated that bases form a class of chemical substances which include all metal oxides and metal hydroxides. Alright, metal oxide and metal hydroxide. We are talking about base, or many people say it alkali. Okay, so about base and alkali, whenever it will form a metal oxide or a metal hydroxide. Okay, moving ahead, a soluble base is called an alkali, and in aqueous solution it produces hydroxide ions. Okay, so in aqueous solution, aqueous mean watery solution, whenever in aqueous solution a alkali is dissolved, it will give you a hydroxide ions. Okay, it will give you the hydroxide ions. Okay, moving ahead, alkalis are always metal hydroxides because when a metal oxide dissolves in water it forms a metal hydroxides, obviously, which produces hydroxide form. Obviously we know that when metal oxide will react with metal hydroxide it will form metal hydroxide ions. It will give us the metal hydroxide ions. For example, when base calcium oxide dissolve in water, calcium oxide, okay, it formed the alkali called calcium hydroxide. We can take an example. Whenever calcium oxide reacts with water, so it will always give us calcium hydroxide. Alright, this is the form. Whenever calcium oxide react with water, it will give you calcium hydroxide. Means in every case, hydroxide is giving. Wherever hydroxide is present, the reaction is alkaline reaction. Okay. Okay. Another basic example which you need is whenever hydrogen with a positive sign as the sign of valency reacts with hydroxide, it will give you what? What is that? When an acid reacts with alkali, it will always give you a neutral. What does a neutral means? Which is having the valency of pH, which is having the pH 7 is known as neutral. I hope so that you understand this point, that whenever acid reacts with alkali, it gives us a neutral. Neutral is the one who is having the pH of 7. We can say that the pH of water is neutral, 7. Okay. So I hope you understand that whenever acid react with alkali, it will give us a neutral which is having the pH of 7. This is the overall property of base.